legislation, as well as the statement delivered by the permanent representative of Israel calling for a closure of UNRWA headquarters in Jerusalem, we deem these to be at odds with Israel's undertakings as per the UN Charter, as well as the two UNGA resolutions, 191 and 273, related to the partition plan for Palestine and Israel's accession to the United Nations, as well as other relevant UNGA resolutions related to UNRWA and Palestine refugees, specifically 194, Resolution 194, as well as the Convention on the Privileges and Immunities of UN Personnel of 1946. In addition to international humanitarian law broadly speaking, the Arab group would like to reiterate what the UN Secretary General said. That is, Israel cannot claim that its national laws prevail and use that as a pretext for flouting its commitments. Israel, as the occupying power, must shoulder its responsibilities in full. We call, the Arab States Group calls on the UN to compel Israel, using all legal and political measures available, to abstain from implementing the aforementioned laws so that UNRWA can continue to conduct its operations in the OPT, specifically in East Jerusalem, and to do so unimpeded. Moving on, the Arab group believes that the allegations leveled by Israel regarding the lack of neutrality on the part of UNRWA are unacceptable. They're neither logical nor are they lawful, these allegations. UNRWA, since the 7th of October 2023, has always provided access, unreserved access, to its employees, and the agency has undertaken the necessary investigations into the allegations. The Colonna report underscores that UNRWA, on top of its neutrality, has a very extensive approach, much more so than other UN agencies, in fact, and we applaud UNRWA's implementation of the Colonna report recommendations. We believe it should be allocated with the necessary resources to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel's allegations cannot serve as grounds for adopting a unilateral decision or resolution preventing the agency, a UN agency, from conducting its operations. What's more is, the Arab group would like to refer to accountability. We need to hold Israel accountable and responsible for the deaths of UNRWA personnel. We warn against the dangerous precedent set by the fact that a member state is attacking a UN agency, killing its employees, destroying its premises, and precluding it from doing its job. This would constitute the start of the end of the UN and of multilateral action more generally. Next, we call on the international community to provide the necessary legal, political, and financial support to UNRWA so that it can continue its activities and serve 6 million Palestinian refugees in its 5 areas of operations. Financial contributions to UNRWA's budget are not a donation as such. They are a commitment to the cause of Palestinian refugees. Our group would like to insist the need for a definitive solution to the funding issue the agency is experiencing, because UNRWA's work doesn't only help Palestinian refugees, it also helps host countries to share the burden they face. UNRWA also contributes to peace and stability in the region. By way of conclusion, Mr. President, the Arab States Group, collectively and individually, would like to reaffirm their commitment to the unswerving Arab position. We applaud the resilience of our brother people, the Palestinians, on their land, in their motherland. We refuse to accept any attacks on the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, whether that be through annexation of land, colonization, or the displacement, transfer, or eviction of Palestinians from their land, whether that be provisionally or in the long term. Our group calls on the international community to work towards a just solution to address and help the cause of the Palestinian refugees, guaranteeing their right to return as per international law. First and foremost, Resolution 194, and also to implement the two-state solution, a contiguous Palestinian state based on 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. I thank you, President.
Of Egypt for his statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Jordan, the last speaker this morning.
Mr. President, at the outset, I would like to express our appreciation and gratitude to Algeria for your distinguished efforts as President of the Security Council during this month, and we thank you for organizing this important debate. We would also like to thank the Commissioner General of UNRWA for his valuable briefing before the Council, which highlights the critical situation confronting UNRWA in light of the challenges imposed by Israel. I would also like to thank Mr. Jan Egeland, the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, for his briefing. We express our appreciation and deepest respect to UNRWA staff for their efforts and their great sacrifices while carrying out their noble humanitarian functions during the Israeli war against the Gaza Strip. Since the beginning of the war over a year ago, UNRWA lost 272 of its personnel. This is the largest number of casualties among any UN agency in any war in our modern history. This reflects the scale of the challenges confronting UNRWA in light of these grave violations. Mr. President, members of the Security Council, at a time when we are holding today's session, the Israeli legislations against UNRWA will begin. These legislations aim to ban its activities and waive its immunity and the immunity of its staff and its facilities in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem. These legislations, similar to other measures taken by Israel to undermine the work of UNRWA and its ability to implement its mandate. These are grave violations of Israel's obligations as the occupying power pursuant to international humanitarian law. These are a grave violation of the inviolability of the agency, its facilities, its staff, and their immunities according to the Privileges and Immunities Convention of 1946. And they also violate relevant UN Security Council resolutions, which consider the measures of Israel in East Jerusalem by trying to change its legal status as an occupied land. These measures are null and void. We also reaffirm the rights of Palestinian refugees to return and compensation pursuant to UN resolutions. No agency can replace UNRWA. It is indispensable in providing basic services. It is a lifeline for over 6 million Palestinian refugees in the West Bank, in the Gaza Strip, in East Jerusalem, in Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. We reaffirm the urgent need for the Security Council and the international community to support UNRWA so that it can implement its UN mandate fully. UNRWA is the only entity capable of carrying out this critical role and provide basic services to refugees to support the residents of Gaza as they confront this aggravated humanitarian catastrophe. A number of humanitarian organizations and UN agencies time and again reaffirmed the critical role of UNRWA. They stated that no other entity has the ability or readiness to provide life-saving assistance and social services at scale similar to UNRWA. UNRWA's network largely exceeds all other humanitarian agencies combined in the occupied Palestinian territory. It includes a larger number of schools, medical facilities, warehouses, offices, and personnel. UNRWA's role is indispensable. It is crucial, especially within humanitarian operations in Gaza, which is a central part of implementing the ceasefire agreement. Mr. President, undermining the work of UNRWA will jeopardize the stability of the region. It will aggravate the suffering in Gaza, where over 2 million Palestinians rely on the services of UNRWA to confront hunger and to meet their basic needs. Therefore, we call on the Security Council to shoulder its responsibilities to protect the UN, to protect its agencies and organizations. There's a need to respect international law and the UN Charter when it comes to the work of UN agencies. Israeli decisions towards UNRWA are illegal and they undermine international law. Allowing any state to undermine the inviolability and immunities of UN agencies, this is a dangerous precedent that will have dangerous repercussions. It will embolden others to perpetrate future violations in other conflict zones around the world. Therefore, we call on Israel to put an end to its violations against UNRWA and not to obstruct humanitarian assistance in Gaza. We also urge the Security Council to take immediate and effective measures to put an end to these practices against UNRWA and to guarantee its ongoing operations without any impediments. UNRWA is not just a relief agency, it is a main guarantee for peace and stability in the region, to achieve a peaceful solution to the conflict that would guarantee the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital along the lines of June 4, 1967. It also provides security and stability to Israel. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the representative of Jordan for the statement. Dear colleagues, there are still a number of speakers remaining on my list for this meeting. I intend, with the concurrence of members of the Council, to suspend the meeting until this afternoon at 3 p.m. The meeting is suspended.